Computer. Okay, welcome back to Life Mastery Unleashed. My name is Ricky Khamis, and today we are going to start with your mindset. And every Monday, we're going to come on, we're going to train you, we're going to teach you some tactics and strategies on how you can develop a resilient mindset within any frame that you're looking to accomplish. You know, whether it's fitness, whether it's your relationships, whether it's business, lead conversion. Okay, we got to turn off the notifications too. Did you guys hear that notification? It's going to sit there and ding the whole time.
Couldn't hear it.
Oh, you can. It'll be on the recording though. Okay, so I've got with me today Drake and Austin Khamis, both my boys. Austin is the oldest of my three sons, and Drake is right in the middle.
hmm
Go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick, guys.
I'm Drake. I'm the middle child, new to the business, but have really been focusing on my mindset and stuff like that since I was a kid. I played baseball in college, so that really, it really tests your mindset and you have to be strong mentally to do it. So yeah, I've just been on this path for quite a bit and, I'm excited to start this podcast.
I'm Austin.
Awesome.
I'm the oldest. I've been in with my dad since high school. Quickly found out I didn't want to work a waiter or host job, just based on how things were going. So I was like, I'm jumping in with dad and haven't left ever since. It's been a wild ride. Graduated ASU. I'm a black belt in karate. That was when I was 13. Me and my dad have some funny stories about that going to Las Vegas and testing with the Shaolin monks. That was crazy. After that, played baseball for a bit through working with my dad. And after baseball, got into music. And now we're just running a gun in here. So we're trying to take this as far as we possibly can.
Excellent, guys. So, this week we're going to talk about discipline over emotion. Okay. And what does that mean in the esoteric sense of the word discipline, right? Because we can have an emotional response to really anything and everything. And anytime you respond with emotion, it's it usually never comes out the way you intend it to come out when you respond, especially with heightened emotion, right? So if it's discipline over emotion, what does that mean to you, Drake? We'll start with you.
Well, what that really means is just using your logical brain to assess situations. It's you have emotions, but um you would want, like, let's say you wake up to go to the gym and you're tired and that's an emotion, but you know that you have a long-term goal of health, to look good obviously, and also to feel good and have that energy for work or your family or whatnot. So no matter how you're feeling in that moment, it's kind of like you logically think that in the moment you feel tired, but you know that you'll feel better after you do it. So it's really just using the future, like you understand where you want to be in the future, which requires discipline in the present moment. So it's really just setting a like forecasting how you want to feel, how you want to look, how you want to treat people, and using the present moment to fight those human emotions to get to that spot.
Excellent. Excellent. So, Austin, you are a very sensitive young man, right? Your emotions run high, and it is what it is, right? How have you used discipline to really control that that wild horse?
Well, I feel like the main thing is really just understanding and having faith in like God, if I'm being honest, for me. Um, a lot of the times when, because I do wear my emotions on my sleeve, like on my face, on everything. Like if I'm upset, you know it, like just the second you see me, or if I'm, sad, whatever the thing is. But um, in those moments, it's like it's a fleeting moment, but then it always comes back to God, if I'm being honest. Trusting in Him that things, the way I'm thinking isn't how it actually is or whatever's going on, and having complete trust and faith in the process of what, he wants my life to look like. So that's, I'd say, being disciplined and turning to God and Jesus in the times that, like, you're not feeling too hot or whatever it is.
Okay. That's interesting because, in church yesterday, that surprisingly, and I've never heard this sermon before, which was really just interesting to me. It was about meditation, and the philosophy of Eastern meditation is to clear your mind and go blank, right? And it, according to the Bible and Scripture, that is a pagan way of meditating. To meditate God's way is to meditate about God and God's word. And I had just, up until I heard that, I had never thought about that because I always thought about praying is praying. Like something happens or you're just getting ready to pray and you pray for, a minute or two and then you're off on your day. Well, meditating is more like 20 to 40 minutes, right? For an hour. And I think that the visual aspect of thinking about what God created and what God wants for you, that just it hit me hard because, you know, I'm a very emotional, reactive individual. And a lot of times I reply with emotion a lot. And over the last several months, I've been training myself to be disciplined in my response to whatever situation is thrown at me. Right? My natural reaction is just fight. That's just my natural go-to defensive reaction is fight. Like I've never ran from a fight. And to be now to completely 180 that has been just an interesting journey to say the least. My and I know a lot of the stuff is I'm still learning the actual scientific reasons behind all of this. Like it's interesting what happens within your body when you allow your emotions to take over. And when you can stop that and you can pause the chemical reaction within your body, it's just it's a miracle on how it works. And so yesterday they were talking about how they did a study of a group of nuns, and the group of nuns, they were meditating and praying specifically to Jesus. And the brain activity was the exact same as having a conversation with somebody in front of them, a human being. It was the exact same thing. And when they just arbitrarily were praying, there was no activity, which is really interesting to me to think how our bodies were created by God, that you do these things, you will have a better life. So few of those things really hit kind of hard, right? And I'm hopeful that as people watch this and they listen to what we're going to bring each Monday, these are lessons. We are deep in the game with studying the actual discipline of every aspect of your life: faith, family, fitness, finance, and future. And, each week we'll talk about something different. This week is just the launch of what Mindset Monday is. And it's to get you in a spot where you can do and be whoever you want to be because you have the discipline to go after it. Because if you think about this, think about a time where you said you were going to do something. You meant it. You were all in on it in the moment. The emotions were high. And then the next day came and you didn't do it. How'd that make you feel? Start with you, Drake.
I've gotten pretty good at, saying I'm going to do something and actually doing it. I think one of the tactics of that is you set the goal just above how far, like how good you are. You don't want to if you're here, you don't want to set it all the way up here. You want to be here and set it right up here. And I'll say stuff like that, and then people will be like, "Oh, you got to set your goals higher," and stuff like that. But I'm like, it's a stair step. It's you know, it's you want to go incrementally better every day. So it's one of those things where it's like 1% better every day, even 0.1% better every day. Um, and one of the quotes I really love is compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. So, you want to really fight the battles against yourself and try to eliminate any comparison with anybody else, because really everyone's running their own race and you really know how you're feeling inside. So one of those things, like if you say you're going to go do something and you don't do it, you got to really sit down and be like, okay, why didn't I do it? And you got to think about it from like a strategic standpoint of maybe it was too inconvenient for me to go do it. So then how can you get the same effect by making it more convenient for yourself? Like let's say eating healthy. Maybe it's hard to go get a steak every single day and do it, but maybe if you have a factor, it's 45 seconds or a minute 45 in the microwave and you're eating healthy. It's a lot more convenient. And, you just got to really, instead of beating yourself up, you have to give yourself grace and think about it from like a third person point of view and be like, if I was helping somebody else, what would I tell them? And then take that own advice onto yourself. So it's really just about being your own coach, your own mentor, you know, because you're the only one that knows how you're feeling in that moment. So if you can take yourself out of the moment, look at yourself from like the best point of view possible, then you're able to really, you know, not emotionally react as much and create a better plan for yourself moving forward.
It's pretty good, dude. Um, I think a couple of things that I got out of that was not necessarily making it convenient, but making it to where you'll do it,
Repeatable.
repeatable, and over time. Because everything we do is time over task, right? To get anywhere, to get in shape, to get wealthy, to get savings, to get pipelines. Pick a thing. Pick a thing. To have a strong relationship with the people you love, it's time over task. And one of the biggest problems we all have, except monks, they're the only ones, is we want it now. So then what we do is we burn ourselves in the process because it seems so far out of reach. So you're right when you say set your goal just just out of reach. Just out of reach. Like your fingertip is can touch it, you just can't grab it. I see that all the time. These BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. I'm going to make 84 million this year. Well, no, you're not. You didn't make 84,000 last year, and you
Mhm.
think you're going to make that each week. Like, so setting it just where it's there, like you could smell it. It's That's the kind of goal
Yeah.
that you need to set, right? So that was good. Okay,
Well, then,
Austin.
can I continue real quick? If we were going to talk about like the neuroscience of
Mhm.
everything. So, like with the neuroscience of learning something new or implementing a new task, at first it requires a lot more brain power to get yourself to go do something. But then repeatedly over time, what the brain does to conserve energy is it stores the process in your subconscious. So instead of you having to think through what you're doing, eventually it just becomes something that's unconscious that you do, you know? Like if they were to study the brain waves of someone learning to play chess versus someone that's a master at chess, the master at chess's brain is working way less than the person actually learning the game. Even though this grandmaster has all these different strategies and viewpoints and stuff like that, it's become subconscious. So that's the last thing I
Mm,
have to say about that.
interesting. Okay, Austin.
That was amazing. Basically hit everything on the head. But the original question of how does it feel when you say you're going to do something and you're not going to do it? Yeah, it doesn't feel good. It's acting in alignment with someone you don't want to be, and that's none of us want that. So just literally doing everything Drake just talked about is going to not allow you to do that. So
So this is super raw, right? This is truth. This is honest. And this isn't piggyback off the last guy. This is your life. This is you talking about when you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it. What is your strategy to keep you back on track? What is it that you try to do to, because remember, with discipline, you got to think about the word discipline. What is what does discipline mean to you, Austin?
doing the things that you say you're going to do, either that or, staying committed to what your goals are and like acting in alignment with that, your actions are.
So what I heard is you do it no matter what.
No, that's just what discipline is. For me, like there's
Discipline
times
is you
where
do
I've
it no matter
said,
what.
yeah, that you do it no matter what. Like raw and honestly, yeah, like there's times where I've said I'm gonna do things and I haven't, which how I've always gotten back on track is by going like the extreme opposite way. Like if I'm lacking on my, let's say, diet, or I didn't go to the gym for 3 or 4 days, like I'll go to the gym twice a day for the next week or month or however long, or I'll just literally eat chicken and salad and like that's it. Or I'll fast until 3. I've always called it like shocking the system is what I coined it as, was like when you start to slip off of like what you're supposed to be doing, just go the extreme opposite way. Like wake up at 4 and go hike or go push tires outside after work, or like doing something kind of crazy to like feel that like, oh hell yeah, like, type of vibe. But
Yeah.
that's just what I would do. Um, but that gets you back on track. It doesn't, nobody likes the feeling of, oh, I said I was going to eat healthy this week and I didn't, or, I said I was going to be here and I wasn't. Regardless of the excuse, it's not doesn't feel good. But what does feel good is staying committed and disciplined and making what you said you were going to do happen for
Yeah,
sure.
psychologically, when you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, it chips away at your character and your internal character. You make it okay to really just commit to anything because you know you don't have to do whatever it is that you said you were going to do. So you just you're in the moment, You told somebody you were going to do something because you know that's what they wanted to hear, but you had no intention of doing it. And I think that the difference between that and actual extreme discipline is I say, I do, period. There's no dot, dot, dot. There's no dash. I say, I do, period. And when you do that repeatedly over and over and over, that is just who you become. And then people really rely on that, right? Especially family and friends. Like they know they can count on you because when you anything you've ever said you were going to do, you did, right? So you got to be super careful on how you, as a man or woman, whatever stage of life you're in, young, middle, old, doesn't matter. You can start now. You can start today. You can start saying, I say, I do. If I say I'm going to make 30 calls as an example, I'm going to make 30 calls. Like it's not even a thing. It's I said it, I'm doing it, right? So that's the first transition you got to make in your life is if you commit to something, you do it, period. Regardless of how inconvenient it is, regardless of you're tired, none of that matters unless you're dead, unless you're actually dead. You go do what you say you were going to do, period. Now, I know a lot of people have different opinions of that, right? Yeah, I said it in the moment and now I don't want to. I'm my own person. Well, you're also creating that person. And if we're talking about God's image of where he wants you personally and what your perfect version of yourself is that person? Does that person really commit to things and then just not follow through? I don't think so. I think the perfect version of every person is I say I do. So Jocko is probably one of the most disciplined people that I follow. He's a mentor. I've been to one of his musters. I was part of Echelon Front, which was an extreme leadership academy. And it really teaches you how to take extreme ownership over the decisions that happened either around you or through you. And the decisions around you you still have some semblance of control over because the decisions are being made because of something that you may have said or done. And that's extreme ownership, right? So we talked about experience. Now let's talk about structure, okay? How to build discipline so it lasts, right? So you stick to it. And I'll go first. So one of the things that I do is I set up my environment ahead of time. At night, I look at my calendar for the next day and I schedule all my alarms, literal alarms on my phone to go off 5 minutes before whatever it is that I'm doing. Okay, so this podcast, as an example, was at 9. At 8:55, I had an alarm pop off that said appointment. And so I knew what it was, right? And then I've got another one at 11. So at 10:55, it's going to go off and I'm going to jump on whatever it is I need to be doing. And then I need to be somewhere by 1 o'clock. I never show up late anywhere. I show up 15 minutes early and I wait in the parking lot for 10 minutes and I set myself. I breathe in 4, I hold 6, I breathe out 4, and it calms my mind so I can articulate really well on whatever meeting I'm about to have. Because some of the meetings I have are, fairly heightened emotionally, right? Because I'm running the company. But so those are some of the strategies that I've deployed that have really helped me stick to it. And the other thing that I did is I have this app. It's a habit app, and in the app, it's got 2 workouts a day. It's got meditate It's got drink 33 ounces before you drink any caffeine. It's got uh, lift weights. It's got jujitsu at least one night a week. And that's something that I haven't been able to do because of my knees, which, excuse or not, there was no way I could actually do a takedown with the way my knees were. I'm right about where I can start going back again. And that goes back to our point where I say I do, because that is super, you want to talk about inconvenient. That is super inconvenient, right? It's at 6:30, it's over at 8. I'm in bed at 8. Right? So that's one of those things. And the other thing is I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. No matter what, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's when I'll meditate. That's when I read my 10 pages. And the other strategy I do, which this may help a lot of you, like right now I'm reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. If you've read that, you understand how hard that book is to understand. So what I've done is I read 10 pages. I screenshot the 10 pages. I put those 10 pages into ChatGPT and then say, explain these 10 pages to me that I just read, and explain it to me in my tone so I can understand it. And I can tell you that has been a game changer for my reading. I am thoroughly understanding everything I'm reading. So those are some strategies that I do every single day, day in, day out. So, Austin, we're going to start with you. What is your strategy? How do you set up your environment? Like what do you do to set up your environment to win, to make sure that your day, the following day, is a successful one? And how do you define that?
The recent things I did was I got magnesium for nighttime and I got ashwagandha for the daytime. Those are two like uh, supplements, I guess you could call them, or vitamins that you can take that like ease stress and help you. Well, magnesium's for sleep and like your digestion, so that's gonna help with like nighttime stuff, and then daytime that ashwagandha stuff is for like stress and relaxation, I guess you could say. So not getting those heightened emotions. My environment, I buy nothing but healthy food. I went to Whole Foods yesterday and I got these juices and then I got like salads and stuff. So like in order to be who I want to be, which is in shape, wealthy and in shape and wealthy and just a good person, give back to the, world and everything. It starts with, being a healthy version of yourself. And really, like I was thinking about it as you were talking, like discipline in the sense of like, because work is a lot of what my life is, honestly. Like between mortgages and music, I'm mainly spending 95% of my day doing one or the other, like 90% of the day is work and then 5% would be the music stuff and then go to bed and wake up. And I know like, and I could hear your guys' thoughts on this too, but like having a regimen I know is like very valuable in that sense. And I'm getting back on track with like going to bed early and up early, that type of thing. Um, but there's times where like, and I don't know if this is accurate or incorrect or correct, but in my opinion, it's like getting done what needs to get done regardless of like what time that takes and then still doing that day in and day out, like if you have to stay at the office till 9 o'clock at night or be there on a Saturday or Sunday, like regardless of what's going on, whether it's like I'll sacrifice sleep or was sacrificing a lot of sleep to like make sure that mortgages was set. I had time to do music and then go to bed, which having a regimen is probably gonna be a lot more beneficial mentally and like, you know, maybe physically also with like the certain things that are involved with it. But in my head, like I keep telling myself, as long as you push through this tiredness or push through this time of, just balls to the wall, like working all the time, there's gonna come that other side where the benefits of everything, that was like all the refis we have right now, that took a lot of work, and there was times where like here till 7, 8 o'clock at night, we're about to get those paid out and closed. So like that's great. But our goals with we have such high goals when it comes to like the mortgage industry and even on my side of the music stuff that like, you know, in my head, as long as the results happen of making those dreams come true, like I'll be tired. But maybe that's the wrong mindset. I don't know.
I don't think there's any right or wrong. I think that if you understand discipline first and truly understand the true essence of it, anything that you want to accomplish, you will accomplish through time. Time is what's going to do that. Time and then the right tasks. But you've got to fail forward too. Like you can't be afraid to not do something because you think you're going to fail at it. You've got to try because then if you tried and you failed, you're more experienced and you actually have something to talk about. If you never do anything or try anything, how how entertaining are you, right? How interesting are you? How interesting would people be if you do nothing, right? So I think the fact that you try, you fail, you try again, you get better, you get better, you get better. It's like golf, right? It takes what 10,000 shots to hit one straight. Yeah, that's my golf game anyways. So Drake, do you think most people actually want discipline or just results?
Well, I would say most people definitely just want results, but I feel like it's like a paradox in a sense because I've always, I don't know, it could just be my nature since I was a kid, but I've always loved the process more than actually attaining whatever the goal is. And that's like a learned trait to where I've really put it into words in my head to where it's like you could break this down neuroscientifically again, where it's like the climb to the hill to see the view is what makes that view worth it. So the original question was you just said people want results. Yeah, people want results, but it's the road. You got to fall. This is my favorite quote. One of them is the man who likes walking will walk further than the person that likes the destination. And if you're thinking too short term, because there's another quote. I'm a quote guy, I guess, but the quote is plan like you live forever, but execute like you're dying tomorrow. So you have to going back to what Austin said about sacrificing sleep and stuff like that. I feel like if we put things on a timeline of generations, it's got to be a 10,000 hour fuel. It can't just be a jet race, to 30 feet because the person that you know discipline themselves and how they feel, exercise, stuff like that, they're going to be able to go further in the long run because they're not burning themselves out in the moment. So that's even something that I practice when it comes to studying because I get really interested in certain topics and we'll study it till I figure it out. But then I realize that if I study it super hard on Monday, by Wednesday, I'm kind of, going down a little bit. So then Monday, so think about this. You study it for 3 hours Monday, and then you're kind of burnt out by Wednesday. But if I study it every single day for an hour, I'm going to study it for 4 more hours than you did. You know what I mean? So it's instead of thinking day to day, you got to think in like longer time periods of, yes, every day you set these micro goals that you can do for months. So by that month ends, you did way more than the person that front loaded it in that one day. So if it's just thinking like long term because when you sleep, you feel better, you make better decisions, you know, you treat people better. It just I feel like there's like a lot of benefits to and that's it just sleep is a huge thing if that's what we were talking about. But that's pretty much all I have to say.
Okay, Austin, so what did discipline look like growing up in our house? And how do you carry that into your life now?
Growing up, there was a ton of discipline. Well, obviously with karate doing that for like I don't even remember how long it was, like 12 years, like 3 times a week plus privates to get my black belt. That was extremely disciplined. I didn't miss one you know, lesson or this or that. But I remember even like after, because that was when I was like 14, 13, 14, and then even after that, um, like when I was in high school or even, before that a little bit, you were coming in the room, waking me up at, whatever time it was, and like it's time to go. So like discipline was not like it was just like the center of everything, really. Um, which I mean, now like how I use that, I guess. It's not as like I would say, and this is me just being very candid and honest because I know that that's what people want, because people will relate better. But like having someone in your house who's like busting in your door, like waking you up at 5, like is like discipline, you could say. But like I didn't have a choice to get up. Now I live by myself, so like no one's busting in my door at 5 to make me get up, regardless of the time I went to sleep. So like it's just different now, but um I don't know. Like I feel like there's cases for everything, like because the way we defined discipline earlier was doing the things you say you're going to do, right? Like regardless of what that is, there's people who are super wealthy and giving back to the world that have trained discipline in the way like of, and I don't know if this is just these people talking out of one ear and out of the other, but like Andy Frisella gets up at 9 o'clock and he goes to the office and everything gets done. His power list, he works out twice a day and does 75 hard as well. But like, sometimes he's even talked about how sometimes he's up till midnight or 1 a.m. working on stuff, but then he's up, the next day is his mantra is if you get the things done that are going to produce the result in the day, then what's it matter, like if you're staying disciplined on the things that produce the result. But then there's also like the flip side of like how Andrew Tate's talked about how he will stay up for an entire day if he's not tired and then sleep and then, do his thing on that side of the front. So like, I don't know, like I remember you saying there's no right or wrong to things, but I don't know, like discipline to me now and how I'm carrying it is in the sense of like if everything's getting done in the day and the results are being produced and you get to where your destination of where you want to go, then to me that's what like discipline is morphed into, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah, you bring up two dudes who are, I mean, if they're not billionaires, they're close to being billionaires. And they both started out with nothing. And you can't tell me, because I actually know the story of Andy Frisella and Andrew Tate. They didn't wake up at 9 a.m. when they started those companies. They were up at 4 o'clock in the morning, sleeping in the actual storefront that the guy opened. Like that is extreme discipline. Now, he's built it out to where he's been able to delegate the work that needs to be done at 6 a.m. to other people who he pays. So all he's done is traded money for time, which is what delegation actually is, right? And he has enough of it that he can delegate most of it. So now he does only what he wants and only what he likes to do. And that's the goal for everybody, right? That's the goal to get to. But you've got to put in the grind first. You've got to do the 24-hour days first. the sleepless nights and the great attitudes, and I'm going to do this anyway, and I'm going to work out twice anyway. Because I'm going to get up early. Well, if I need to meditate for 45 minutes, I need to wake up 45 minutes earlier because I didn't have that time allotted before. Now I do. You see what I'm saying? So be careful, especially all you young guys listening. Be careful of these dudes that you watch on Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff driving around in their Lambos. They weren't driving Lambos when they started. They started where you started, right here. But you're trying to just grab keys to a Lambo. That doesn't work, and it'll never work. So Drake, what did discipline look like growing up in our house?
Well, I would say, I'm an observant kid, and I'm also really competitive. But so I mean, it was just really it was example. I always saw you working, and I was always working at baseball. I mean, I wouldn't say I was the most naturally talented person out there, but I just always put in a lot of work, and um, I put in the work and played some college baseball, but it looked like I when I go back to saying I'm competitive is if I say I do. So it's just something in my nature. It was probably, from you. But when I see you doing that stuff, it makes me want to be like, okay, well, there's someone in the world doing more. So then I got to do more than that person. But then it gradually morphs into like my own set of beliefs to where what keeps you going is your reason why. And if you haven't read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, I would highly recommend that book because you're trying to squeeze meaning out of life. And I try to find that internally, and I read a lot too. So I try to pick, from Jordan Peterson, or I try to search out good teachers. So I really try to say it's like my own, like I try to be as most disciplined to myself. I feel like I'm jumbling up my words, but
That's what
um,
happened.
yeah, discipline was in our family, and I don't know, it's kind of not something really I think about because we just do it, and I just do it. So it looked like it was intense. Like you're going to the gym, and then I started going to the gym at like freaking 16 and went every single day up until this point. So it's not really something I consciously think about. It's kind of just something to where I'm like, I need to be doing more. And I would say that's probably the crux. Like, do you want results or do you want discipline? Well, if you have the mindset that I have, then you're really never satisfied with what you did in the day. Um, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword to where you're getting a lot more done, but then you're also feeling like you should be doing more, could be doing more to maximize, your potential and stuff like that. But yeah, just it was there. It's still there to this day. So
Yeah, I can't remember a time when I didn't get up and go to the gym in the morning or go do some kind of workout. Like lately, it's outdoor stuff. Um, Indoor, like I'm on a different mission, but the example that I always wanted to set for everyone, for all of you boys, was work hard, stay committed, create your own legacy. But the only way you can do that is if you have the discipline to stick to the task, because it is time over task over time that allows you to win at the end of the day. You can't beat the guy who won't quit. You just can't beat them because they keep on coming. And I think that was a really important lesson that you all subconsciously have taken into your own lives, because you're all good boys. Like you all work hard. You all work out. Like you all eat healthy. You all drink water. Like if you think about that, it's how you were raised and what you saw. It wasn't what you were forced to do. It's what you got to see. right? And I think that's equally important. Um, so if someone, and we're going to rapid fire this one. If someone's listening right now, running on empty, what's one thing they can do today to rebuild discipline? So I'm going to start with this because this is my thing, right? If you're running on empty and you're feeling down or you're feeling lost or you're feeling like you're losing or you're feeling rejected or dejected in whatever the case is, whether it's work or family or whatever you're going through, if you're on empty, the one thing I can tell you to do right now is to wake up 1 hour earlier and go work out. Now, when I say go work out, that means just go for a walk. Go for a walk for 1 hour. That 1 hour will be approximately 3 miles. In that 1 hour, I want you to put on your headphones and listen to your favorite music. And if nobody's around, I want you to sing the songs you know that you know the words to out loud. I promise you, if you do that one thing, your entire being will change. And it's an actual physical response, a chemical response in your brain that when you sing out loud, it has a chemical reaction and a dopamine hit, which we all need. Okay. Austin, someone's listening right now, running on empty. What's one thing they can do?
Going to the gym or working out is a great one. But if you're feeling down, another thing you can do is this is what I would start doing, and this is what I did start doing in the past is write down three things like on your mirror
Journal. Good.
Or a journal. Yeah. I like putting it on my
Oh, on
mirror
the
and
mirror.
with
Okay,
an
gotcha.
expo marker. So I
Nice.
see it every single morning. Just write three things that you like love about yourself, or three things that you're grateful for, or you know, hype yourself up. Just write three things
Love
down,
that.
and you'll see it every morning. So you'll be forced to like think about it.
Nice.
Or write a prayer. Like that's what I would do. Is write a, you know, dear Heavenly Father, and then just speak, and that's your word.
Perfect. Love it. Drake?
I guess it really depends on how down they're feeling. I mean, if it's because of lack of sleep, then that could you just get a good night's sleep and eat healthy, wake up, drink water, work out, see the sun early in the day, stuff like that. But if it's to somebody that's been down for years and stuff like that, one of the things that always could help me if I'm feeling like that is you could change everything tomorrow, or you could change everything right this second, and you can completely flip it on its head and become the person. It's almost like you've been given an opportunity of redemption to show people that you're not that person that's lazy or doesn't stick to their word. Like, you could start tomorrow. And I mean, as we start doing these podcasts, I'll tell you guys tips on how to idiosyncratically change the way you're thinking about certain topics, because it really starts with the littlest of things. And one of the quotes that I love again is, people don't find God because they don't look low enough. So if you're always, chasing these cheap dopamine hits, then you're not really looking at what's in front of you to be grateful for. And I would actually say that. So that would be my answer is identify what you're grateful for, because you just say that in your head, even though you might be feeling resentful or tired or anything like that. If you forcefully just say in your head, well, I'm grateful for water or whatever little stupid things that you could think of, if you practice that over and over again, you start to see the world in a different way in terms of what you're actually grateful for. So like, it really depends on what side of the spectrum you're on. Are you a long term feeling down, or did you not get sleep and partied last night? So yeah, as this goes on, we'll talk about that a lot in a lot more depth.
Excellent. Listen, motivation dies every day. Discipline is eternal. It's the quiet voice that says, get up anyway. Don't hit snooze. Just get up. drop, do 5 push-ups, pound 30 ounces of water. It'll change your life. Thank you for tuning in to Mindset Monday. And you know what to do. Out grind, out work, out hustle everyone.
Hit the subscribe button.
Okay, let's jump on the other meeting. Good job, guys.